Historic Shelburne Farms is a nonprofit farmscape with a commitment to the education of environmental stewardship of natural and agricultural resources. The farm is located on the coastline of Lake Champlain in Shelburne, Vermont, and garners over 100,000 visitors annually. The buildings on the Shelburne property were constructed in the late 1800s and serve as one of the best well-preserved examples of a Gilded Age ornamental farm. The buildings were designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed Central Park, and kept in mind nature's restorative power and the importance of democratic access to green spaces. Despite the property being divided and developed over time, a generation of the farm's original owners, William Seward and Liza Vanderbilt Webb, decided they did not want to develop their land legacy and continued the land's agricultural use through nonprofit means. The property offers exceptional views of Lake Champlain and the Adirondack Mountains, as well as rolling pastures, woodlands, gardens, and historic structures. Some of Shelburne Farms' key attractions include their dairy operations, where raw milk produced from the pasture-raised brown Swiss cows is harvested to create their famous farmhouse cheddar. Visitors are allowed to watch the cheesemakers craft their cheddar and can enjoy samples of the freshly made cheese. Artisan foods and baked goods from the farm and other Vermont producers are offered at the farm's farm cart and farm store, located in the farm barn. The farm barn also offers the Children's Farmyard, which allows children a chance to meet Shelburne Farms animals and learn their roles in the farm's workings. Around the farm, 10 miles of walking trails offer breathtaking views and quiet spaces, winding through fields and forests with trails that lead straight to the farm barn and other Shelburne attractions. The farm offers visitors accommodation in their Shelburne Farms Inn. Here, visitors will find Dining at the Inn, a farm-to-table restaurant that offers fresh vegetables and fruit from Shelburne's market garden, farmstead cheese, and seasonal lamb and beef. Past the inn, you'll find the carefully tended tiered flower gardens overlooking Lake Champlain. Visitors can take a stroll through what Shelburne Farms describes as a beautiful example of an American garden. The best time to visit Shelburne Farms is mid-May to mid-October, allowing for the best experience of the farm's operations, trails, and farm-grown foods.
Let's take a look at Reinhardt's regional conflict model. Activity style describes how one interprets their recreational activity. Person A might look for an intense solitary activity, while person B imagines a relaxed group session. Resource specificity describes the degree to which one or a group requires a specific resource to partake in their desired experience. Higher resource specificity can lead to conflict as it makes guests more sensitive to disruptions. Person's A fishing spot or access to a fishing spot is more easily threatened if there are only a few spots in total. Mode of experience describes how one can have varying expectations of their recreational experience. Person A going to a national park and expecting a serene getaway might be met by a crowd of tourists looking for the same thing. Lifestyle tolerance describes the degree to which one or a group are willing to embrace or humor behaviors and experiences different than their own. Person A might expect a traditional nature getaway, only to encounter other guests shooting social media content and or operating drones. It's similar to activity style, but more focused on the coexistence of differing recreational pursuits. Expectations describes other expectations someone may have about their recreational environment. Failure to meet their expectations can result in conflict. Safety, it just describes how one perceives the safety of their recreational environment. Conflict can be arisen when their environment is not as safe as they had imagined. As for the newly added parts, it can be broken down into two separate components, the physical and social components. Physical components of community aspects would include things such as infrastructure, such as roads and transportation and utilities, and basic needs such as healthcare, food, and clean water. Social components include things such as heritage, which are the community cultures, shared values, and history of a certain area. Sensitivity of conflict describes how sensitive someone or group is to conflicts that may arise in their recreational environment. And the conflicts can happen in outgroups, in-groups, managers, community tensions, and other people in the environment. And the outcomes of these would be the changes in perceived quality of life, diminished enjoyment or satisfaction, and or coping behaviors, such as finding ways to redirect one's expectations to match those of their environment.
Using both Google and Yelp reviews on Shelburne Farms both highlight the activity style and resource specificity in the conflict model. Based on the activity style, one of the primary complaints revolves around the lack of activities, especially during certain seasons. Caitlin, for example, argues that Shelburne Farms should not be open during the winter due to limited options for tourists. Similarly, Brenda expresses frustration at not being able to visit because the farm is closed. Another reviewer, Mary, criticizes the policy requiring visitors to purchase a $30 bag of apples just to ride a hayride. A recurring theme among negative reviews is overcrowding, which diminishes the ability to fully participate in activities like apple picking, hay rides, hiking, and seeing the farm animals. Many tourists come to Vermont because of those activities because they are very connected to Vermont cultures. Visitors also reported difficulties purchasing popular Vermont products like apple cider donuts and fresh apple cider due to high demand and long waits. These challenges indicate that the farm's activity structure does not align with tourist expectations. Resource specificity is also very prevalent in many of the reviews. Many visitors also expressed concerns about the availability and pricing of Vermont-made products. Brenda, for example, mentions not only the farm's closure but also the high cost of cheese and limited selection of local Vermont goods. Similarly, Mary critiques the price of apples, one of Vermont's signature products, and the difficulty accessing them due to overcrowding. Tourists visiting Shelburne Farms anticipate an authentic farm experience, which includes both engaging in activities and access to local unique products. When these expectations are not met, whether due to pricing, availability, or accessibility, it results in a decreased enjoyment and overall disappointment. Activity style plays a crucial role in tourism, and Shelburne Farms has faced criticism for both lack of seasonal activities and issues with overcrowding. Additionally, resource specificity, particularly the availability and pricing of Vermont-made goods, has been a common point of frustration. To enhance visitor satisfaction, Shelburne Farms may need to reevaluate how it structures activities and manages its resources to better align with tourist expectations.
Diminished enjoyment is the clearest outcome of the conflict model in action at Shelburne Farms, based off of visitor input. I'll be touching on some of the evidence found in subpar reviews on TripAdvisor and Yelp of this that relate to the lifestyle tolerance and expectations aspects of the preconditions on site, and we found that safety was not to be relevant in this case. As for lifestyle tolerance, the incompatibility of certain visitor types with the reality of a historic farm was the main issue. Like a review by Iptadel, who complained about the lack of AC, or a review by Ted, who complained about how the operations seemed a little bit modest, like the cheese baking and woodworking with only a couple people working, as well as complaints about too much walking by JB and a complaint about a vegan named Hadass who did not know that the animals would be used for meat, which could be considered a social values conflict type. As for expectations, this was the clear main source of conflict, where Shelburne Farms is highly acclaimed, so people might have really big expectations for what a farm is, but they will be ultimately let down by the nature of the place, which is fundamentally just a fancy barn structure with some historical exhibits, some farm animals and gardens, and a large grounds, like the review by Zephyr Travel said. As well as this, there was just a lack of info regarding what to expect and prepare for at Shelburne Farms, which may not align with what people would traditionally expect of a farm, like how there was no dogs allowed and you have to walk so far to see all the different features, like the review by Philippe said, and also some complaints about just it being hard to fit in a tour or see certain places and participate when it requires planning ahead, whereas people might expect to just show up at the farm and be able to see everything.
Using Reinhardt's regional conflict model, we can see that there was indeed conflict at Shelburne Farms, with a majority of the preconditions of conflict stemming from activity style, resource specificity, mode of experience, lifestyle tolerance, and general expectations. As for the activity style and expectations category, most guests had simply expected more from the farm than what it was: a fancy barn structure, a gift shop, and some farm animals and gardens. Failure to meet their expectations is common within all the reviews of Shelburne Farms, with people wanting more of things such as historical sites and tours. As for resource specificity, a shortage of staff members seemed to fit into this category. A lot of guests had commented on how they were disappointed that they were unable to attend a majority of events and activities due to a shortage of staffage there. For lifestyle tolerance, an individual did comment on how their belief as a vegan contradicted with that of the farm, leading to conflict.
Through an analysis of the farm's history of tourism, we can see that Reinhardt's model is in fact taking place in Shelburne Farms.